Hi, I'm Kalisha, and welcome to my holistic documentary. This is chapter 3. This is Spiritual Awakenings, the part 7. And spiritual awakenings can happen to absolutely anybody, almost at any time, for any reason. It really is usually, from what I've understood, it comes from trauma. It comes from some sort of life-changing event. I would have to say that mine came from having an infection, but the spiritual awakening happened right after or between the infection being found. So I got my wisdom teeth originally taken out February 2021, and one broke and woke me out of anesthesia, and the infection wasn't found till November 2021, and a lot of stuff happened between the time frame. The final tooth wasn't actually even removed till December 2021, and there was still infection in there, even though I was on antibiotics and all this. I was on H.O.L.T. I was on all types of stuff trying to subside. By then it was very painful. And the psyche part of me, literally, I was just losing it. So I have very, very, very good friends that were down for the ride on the roller coaster, crazy roller coaster with me. And when it finally stopped, it was almost like the acceptance of love was so overwhelming, because I was going mad because I literally was fighting with all of me this infection. I was not dying without a fight, put it that way. I was not dying without a fight. And it was a harsh road. So the spiritual awakening for me was kind of, I'm alive, but it did not kick in that I'm alive till about January, when I was off the medications and I was starting to eat healthier, taking my vitamins, drinking more water. It was definitely sitting back, getting more rest, and waking up and saying, oh, I need really a lot more healing than I really thought. It wasn't just an infection. I actually had a whole lot of just things going on in my life that changed my life and flipped it completely upside down. 21 signs you're going through a spiritual awakening and how to embrace it. Spiritual awakening. The notion of spiritual awakening has been around for centuries, can be observed in a variety of cultures and religions around the world. Call it nirvana. Okay, bliss, enlightenment. Spiritual awakening begins with the moment of a person can step back and awake to life and a new sense of being in the world. Spiritual awakening can be mildly unnerving at first, often kept grapple with questions like, who am I? Why am I here? Alright, so spiritual awakening can be triggered by anything from completely mundane to completely life-altering. They can be spontaneous, but for most, they are triggered by major life-changing traumas such as life-threatening illnesses, a car accident, divorce, war, pandemic, quarter-life or midlife crisis, and mental health crisis such as clinical depression or anxiety, near-death experience. So the spiritual awakening for me was not necessarily finding God, because I feel like God is different for everybody. And I had already found God. I've already accepted that there was something bigger than me in my world, and something that I know I have freedom of choice, freedom, peace of mind, open mind. I have free will, but there is something that knows the next step, that knows in me to know to do something now so it'll pay off later, something like that. So, and I think as an artist, like I work a lot in silence, I work a lot in private, and then when I'm ready to showcase it, here we are. But the spiritual awakening part was definitely me praying a lot for peace of mind. I would hear voices in my psychosis of being up for days because I was so sick, and then PTSD being triggered months later, being up for days, having delusions, kind of put pieces back together, but everything's so hazy sometimes, and I don't remember. So part of me, it comes back in flashes. And so now it's a lot better, and I can recognize and I can actually tell somebody I'm hearing this, knowing this, seeing this, dreaming this, and I know the difference of what's happening if it's real. And it is real. I do believe all things are real, because obviously you wouldn't experience it if it wasn't real, regardless if nobody else experiences with you. And I think that's the biggest thing about a spiritual awakening. People don't experience your spiritual awakening. You experience it, and then you process it. And a lot of people aren't going to understand that. So that's okay. And you just find a way to cope with it and accept it, and then see where you are on the path and try to improve from that. "21 signs you feel disconnected or detached." Sleep support. You've reevaluated your beliefs. Your dreams are more vivid. You experience more deja vu. It keeps going, and it keeps going. Wait, what? Oh my God. What in the hell is this? Y'all ain't fucking right. Oh, where does it end? Wait, does it end? I don't know. Your relationships begin to shift. You feel spiritually become a more important part of life. Becoming an important part of your life. More intuitive. You can sense inauthenticity, manipulation. You realize everyone is on their own path. You want to be of service. Your teachers find you. You feel alone. You feel more connected to nature. Your sense have heightened. You may have been more bodily sensations. You may have physical symptoms like fatigue and brain fog. There's a sudden change in your habits and routine. Your outlook on the world feels different, increased empathy, you display more compassion, and you have a newfound curiosity. Processes of stage awakening, the spiritual awakening, the dark night of the soul, the sponge, Sator self, the soul sessions, surrender, awareness, and service. Going through my spiritual awakening, post-trauma, and a lot of PTSD, I had a lot of deja vu. I still have deja vu. I still see things that I'm like, I know I've seen this before. I still hear things that I'm like, I've heard this before. Not sure where it comes from. And I try to not overreact, because usually when it's happening, and I think most people have had experiences with deja vu at some point, when it's happening again, you know it's happening again, but you might not remember what's actually going to happen. You just know you feel very familiar with the situation, and you feel very familiar with what's going on, but you're just not sure why. And I have a lot of that. I've had a lot of that. I've been very specific. I do have a therapist, and I talk to her about it. I do have friends, I talk to them about it. I journal it. And it doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen all the time. It happens very randomly. And there's a lot of parts of me that I'm not sure why. I just kind of go with the flow.